This is the Spiral Jetty, a half-century-old art installation on the shores of Utah's Great Salt Lake. But let's just start with the elephant in the room. Isn't a jetty supposed to have water around it? Postcard Dan, always me, never AI. A jetty is defined as a structure, dike, or wharf extending into a body of water like an ocean, lake, or river. When it was constructed, the Spiral Jetty did extend into the Great Salt Lake, but currently in 2025 there's no water around it. It's dry as a bone. So the Spiral Jetty hasn't been in the water for at least a decade, I believe. It's best if the water level gets up to around 4,195 feet. Currently, I believe the water level is 4,192, and it's late May in 2025. Now, you might think that 3 feet difference shouldn't have that great of an impact. However, you can see the profile of the lake bed. It's a very low profile, which means that a 1 foot change in the water level caused drastic changes in the size of the lake itself. Here's a picture of what the Spiral Jetty looked like a decade ago. Look how cool that is. 15 feet wide and extending 1,500 feet from the shoreline, the Spiral Jetty terminates in 3 caracoles. I wish I could show you a video that I shot myself showing the jetty in the water, but the artwork has been marooned away from the edge of the lake for a decade now, a victim of the changing water levels of the Great Salt Lake. The water levels are cyclical. The lake was at similar lows back in the 1960s, and then just 20 years later, the water rose to such a point that the infrastructure all around the lake was inundated. The jetty itself was invisible under 15 feet of water. In 2022, the lake's level sank to its lowest point recorded since the pioneers first arrived in Utah and began measuring the water. Since 2022, we've had a couple of years of above average snowfall in Utah, so the lake has recovered a little bit, but it's still very low. Nobody knows for sure whether it will ever recover enough to make the Spiral Jetty an actual jetty again, but in May of 2025, I decided to drive out and take a look. Maybe I'll even walk all the way out to the water to see how far away it is. The Spiral Jetty was created in 1970 by an artist named Robert Smithson, and this is his best known work. It's located in a very remote area requiring a round trip of over 30 miles on desolate dirt roads. While there are sporadic signs directing visitors toward the jetty, missing one sign or one missing sign could result in being lost in the desert. So I put together a separate video showing the exact turns needed to find it. I have a link for that video in the description below. Here are a couple scenes showing what the drive to get out to the Spiral Jetty looks like. Your starting point will be the Golden Spike National Historic Park. Now, if you've ever been out there, you probably already know how it can feel like the end of the earth. The place seems really distant and isolated, but we're going to go even 16 miles further and all on a dirt road. The drive to the Spiral Jetty culminates in a dead end here in a wide spot that I'll call a parking lot. And there's nobody here at all. I don't think I've ever been here when there wasn't at least one other vehicle out here. Up the hill from the parking area is a small monument. It's only a short 30-yard hike to get up there. On the front of the marker, there's a sketched symbol depicting the jetty that I thought looked almost mystical. This monument is the fruit of an Eagle Scout project, and it's positioned to offer a sweeping vista over the jetty. Back down at the edge of the parking area, there's also a small bench for those who don't wish to climb down. It's a little more tricky to climb down to the jetty because there's not really a trail. You just have to scramble down through the rocks. But as long as the water level of the lake remains low, you may as well head down and walk on the artwork. I can't remember. The last time I was here, it feels like there was a trail to get down there that was pretty obvious. I'm not seeing it. So I guess I'll just make my way down through the rocks. You can see a little island out there in the distance. Water of the lake appears to be at least a quarter mile beyond the end of the Spiral Jetty. Maybe a half a mile. It's really difficult to judge distances here. If the water level were at quote-unquote normal levels, I would be standing on the shore of the lake at this point. Spiral Jetty is at an elevation of 4195, built in 1970. Sand is really difficult to walk in. The rocks to get down here were much easier. This feels like walking on a beach. It's really fine sand. Let's see if we can get right to the center of it. Obviously, I'm shortcutting it. Went through the first spiral. And here it is, the center of the Spiral Jetty. You can see two more there. It's really quite surreal to stand here. This is a place that is so starkly forlorn, yet at the same time strikingly beautiful, and I have it all to myself. At the time that I filmed this, in the last week of May in 2025, the edge of the water was only a quarter mile from the edge of the jetty. While I was standing inside the spiral, I wasn't sure how far it was, so I decided to trek out to the shore of the lake. Walking toward the water, this ground is much more hard-packed, not so silty like the sand back by the jetty is. Much easier to walk over here. So I'm approaching the water here. It's only taken me 5 or 6 minutes to walk from the Spiral Jetty to the edge of where the water is here. There you go, the Great Salt Lake. So it turns out I had misremembered. There's no trail down there. The only option is to scramble through the rocks. Made it back up. I hope that you enjoyed seeing this look at one of the most unique installations of land art found anywhere. Even though the water has receded, I think that it's still an interesting landmark. I'd like to ask you to click on the thumbs up button so that YouTube will tell more people about this cool place. And if you enjoy the content on my channel, I'd be honored to have you as a subscriber. This is Postcard Dan in a remote corner of Utah on the edge of the Great Salt Lake.